Welcome to Exposing the Hidden Reality. I'm Annette, career reinvention coach and caffeine-powered human.
And I'm Sandra, women's life and leadership coach. I bring the woo to our conversations.
And this is the podcast where we call out all the unspoken stuff, biases, outdated expectations, and all the things women navigate in work and in life.
Yes. We bring to light what we see happening. Smart, capable women stuck in the same patterns because no one really talks about what's going on.
We'll bring some difficult truths.
Welcome, insightful experts.
And sprinkle in a little chaos and fun.
It wouldn't be us if we didn't, right?
It's true.
So whether you're walking the dog or tuning in during your commute, we're glad you're here. Let's do this.
Let's do this. You want to do the let's do this together? Like 3, 2, 1, let's do this. All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's do this. Welcome, everybody. I am so excited for this conversation today because our friend Salma is joining us, and she is such an interesting person and does something so cool that I just think you're going to find, I don't know, like unusual and interesting and something that you want to learn more about. How's that? So, Salma, if you don't mind, could you introduce yourself to our audience and tell them a little bit more about you with specifics and less weird and awkwardness that I did?
It wasn't weird or awkward at all. Not at all. So I'm Salma Khattab. I'm a board certified hypnotherapist and embodiment coach. And prior to that, I was in the business world and an entrepreneur, and I worked in the corporate world. But I shifted to this career pre-COVID. And I've been working with executives, with entrepreneurs, with every kind of woman since. And I work with people on their subconscious mind. I work on their emotions. I work on their physiology to really help them overcome the subconscious blocks and the traumas and the experiences from the past that are affecting how they are present and how they can achieve their goals in the future.
What got you into hypnotherapy?
It was my own experience. I had a big dip suddenly. I had a major breakdown back in 2017, 2018. And I pretty much suffered from all of the things that I now work with people on. So I had a lot of childhood experiences that were blocking me. I had repeating patterns that I was stuck in. I had feelings of being different, unable to belong, unable to connect. And I wasn't seeing how it was impacting me in the workplace, but it was. So I was an overachiever. I was always looking for the next big goal, the next big idea. I was giving 100% and actually more than 100%, but it was coming from a place of maybe unworthiness or trying to please others or trying to fit in, trying to earn my place wherever I was. And when you're doing that, in the workplace or even with your own business or even within your family or within your friend group, you never reach a point where you're fulfilled. And so you will end up burning out. You will end up breaking down. And that's where I was. So I had a major breakdown. And then through my own healing journey, I retrained. And this is what worked for me. And then I just wanted more of it, and I wanted to be able to help a lot more people. And then I did further trainings after that, beyond hypnosis, beyond hypnotherapy, and it's the best thing that I've done.
So I know, because I've been to hypnotherapy, that it doesn't work the way, you see in the movies where they, go back and forth, or on the cartoons, let's say that.
Right.
They go back and forth with the watch and say, look into my eyes. So for people who have not been for hypnotherapy, walk us through how it works and what you do.
Yeah, sometimes instead of saying hypnotherapy, I like to tell people it's deep relaxation. I've been trained in a way that I can get the person that I'm working with to just deeply, deeply relax. Using my voice, using guided imagery, using maybe the setting of the environment. And then when they can deeply relax, it's a relaxation of the critical mind, relaxation of the nervous system. And then the subconscious mind is in the driving seat. And you're not sleeping, you're not somewhere else. You're right here. Maybe your eyes will be closed. I mean, and there are conversational hypnosis techniques where your eyes are open, but in the way that I do things, your eyes are closed and we're having a conversation for a couple of hours sometimes. And, but what's important is that in this conversation, you have access to all of the files. You have access to your past, to all of those core memories, to the things that you've suppressed, to the things that you've blocked out. And also, you're almost behind that control center. You could switch on a feeling, you could switch it off, you could amplify, you can tone things down. So you're in control, which means that it's very easy and it feels very safe to talk about things that you wouldn't otherwise. And these are the things that you really need to talk about, that if you don't talk about, if you don't express, if you don't let these things out, they're the ones that usually hit you in the face and you don't know where it came from consciously. So it's a great way to be able to dig deep without reactivating traumas, without dysregulating yourself.
I think that's key. So digging deep without reactivating the triggers or the traumas. So how could this show up for women, especially in the workplace? How could we be triggering ourselves or getting triggered and not realize it, and then it shows up in our work?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, every single person has a different, might have a different thing going on for them. So maybe someone feels like what I said different. And a lot of my clients, they are people who feel different for many different reasons. So it could be that they're neurodivergent. It could be that they're highly sensitive. It could be that they're empathic. It could be that they're spiritual. It could be that they're minorities, that their parents were immigrants. For some reason or other, sometimes, they're highly gifted. Sometimes they are very unique in the way that they look. And if they felt from a very young age that for any reason they are different, they stand out, they might not be aligned with the status quo, then wherever they go in life, they take that with them. Mm-hmm. And they will sometimes feel that they can't really be themselves. So they have to code switch all the time. They wear masks all the time. Sometimes they have issues with being, they're bringing their authentic self into the workplace. And sometimes they overcompensate. So they're trying too hard. And we're, as humans, we have these senses. We can sense people's energy. We can sense when someone has a block. We can sense when someone is trying too hard, and we don't necessarily trust it, and therefore we're reacting to that person, and it's just this feedback loop. So it shows up that way. It shows up in our sensitivity to performance evaluations. It shows up to how we are connecting with our colleagues. It shows up in our communication. It shows up in so many different ways. But the people who know what I'm talking about, they feel it all the time. So they will recognize it without me having to explain it. They will recognize that they can be in a room, they can be on stage, They can have everyone smiling at them, applauding, engaging with them, and yet they feel there's something wrong. I'm not sure. Am I really being me? Would they accept me if they knew XYZ about me? Or, you know, it's a lot of this. It's a lot of this. And then the other underneath that is, you know, I'm not enough. Underneath that is I'm not worthy of unconditional love and acceptance. Underneath that sometimes is I don't have a right to exist. I need to earn that right in this place.
Yeah.
I think that oftentimes we don't recognize that we're being triggered, right? We just know that something feels off, right? So if I don't know that what I'm responding to is not the person in front of me, but some other thing that happened to me in the past, that this person is now challenging me in that same way, how do I learn to recognize the signs, Salma?
Sometimes, you know, the majority of people, they will recognize it by discovering that they're the common denominator in multiple situations. So, you know, you're having the same issue with someone in your home, someone in your friend group, with someone at work. You've changed jobs, you've changed your boyfriend, you've changed your friend group, and then it's repeating again. And it's the same feeling that you felt from before. So it's not new. It's a very familiar situation. It doesn't feel odd. It just feels really frustrating, or it feels, you know, heavy, but it's nothing new for you, because that person who is challenging you, it could be your boss. And I've seen that with my clients. I've also seen it with myself. You know, oh, this person's showing up as my mother right now. And it's reminding me of when I was, you know, 8 years old and this happened. And it's the same feeling. It's the same feeling in my body. And my reaction, it might be the same reaction that I had as a child. It may have been the same reaction that I've developed as a teenager. Once you start rebelling, once you start, you know, wanting to individuate and you wanting to defend yourself and to defend your independence. So you will find that it's the same feeling in your body. And also you're the common denominator in multiple situations. It just keeps happening no matter what. So those are some of the ways. And a lot of times people are so out of touch with their body, and they have learned to avoid their emotions, and they have learned to avoid even being in tune with their physical bodily sensations, that they don't realize, or they don't want to realize, that there is a problem. They don't know that they're being triggered for years, but they can see externally that things aren't working out. And they can see the feedback from the external environment, but they usually just give it another reason that it doesn't have to do with me. It must be something else. And this is why I'm saying it's the repetition. For those people who have learned to survive by tuning down their emotions, by avoiding their feelings and all of that, the first step is really reconnecting with the body. And that's where the embodiment work comes in as well.
Yeah. I a lot of I do similar work, but in a very different way. I'm not a hypnotherapist, and I believe very strongly that learning to sit in our bodies is so challenging and so important. Especially as girls, we are taught to ignore our bodies, and in the workplace, we are taught to deal with only what's going on in our brain and not pay attention to what's happening. And oftentimes the body knows long before our brain clues in something is off, and we are not comfortable sitting in that trying to figure it out, right? We try to say, oh, I'm just making things up, or I'm just nervous, or it's just a job interview, or whatever. So how do you help women or your patients, your clients, really? How do you get them to to become embodied?
Mm.
What is the process that you walk them through? And yeah, let's start there.
Yeah, so I have my own system that I use. I call it the Embodied Breakthrough System, and it's a 5-step or 5 pillars to the system. I start off with working on the subconscious mind. Really, with this hypnotherapy, getting in there and figuring out, it's almost like detective work. What is going on here? I will speak with my client. They have no idea. And I say, I also have no idea. Let's go in and let's ask your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind always knows. You just ask it, what's the root cause of this? And it will tell you. It will take you to core memories. And then we kind of dig deep and we unravel and we unwire and we realize, all right, well, this is what I believe now. And these are the feelings that I'm attached to and the emotional cycle that I'm attached to. This is the pattern that I am used to. These are the strategies that my mind thought were best to help me survive.
Yes.
And they did help me survive back then. But now it's 30 years later and they're outdated and they're not helping me. So that's one side. After that, it's about, I use some techniques to really pinpoint the emotions that are trapped in the body. And we do it one by one because sometimes it's overwhelming and we don't want to access all these emotions at once. And that's part of the reason why we suppress them and we avoid them. But when you do it one by one, bit by bit, maybe even using the power of your breath, then it becomes manageable. And at that time, as I'm guiding someone through a breathing process that is specific to each of these trapped emotions and isolation, it's the normal thing that everyone talks about. You identify it, you label it, you feel it, and then you can let it go. You metabolize it and you let it go. So we do that bit by bit. And a lot of times my clients, it's happening in their body. They're going through the physiological experience and then their mind is somewhere else. And that's okay. Because even at that point, it's not safe for the mind doesn't feel that it's safe to be in touch with these emotions. But guess what? You're metabolizing it from your body anyway. So now we're creating more space. So that's one of the things that we do. And then eventually you're able to re-engage your mind and to tune in and you're feeling, okay, I can sense that there is a sensation. It's moving from my shoulder. It's going to my knee. I'm feeling, goosebumps. I'm starting to cry. I'm beginning to release, whatever it is, but there is a shift. And so we're going through that process. I also do a lot of different embodiment postures and sequences to get you to experience different identities and to really see where your comfort level is. What are you used to and what do you need to practice a little bit more of? And through that practicing, going from from a yin pose to a yang pose, from something that is forward to something that is more relaxed, you're able to see, well, where am I most comfortable? What do I need to work on? And when I feel triggered, when I feel activated, what does it actually feel like in my body? So now I know that this sensation that I used to ignore, actually, it's specifically related to being in this situation. It's specifically related to receiving from someone that I'm not necessarily as comfortable with receiving, or it's specifically related to me being in an authority position or me standing out and being seen. Now I know I can make these connections and I can work on them. We work on energy. We work on what did I say? I said the subconscious mind, the emotional release, the energy, working different somatic techniques, different things to really release and get in touch and understand. So that's all that we're doing, but it's a 5-step process. And you have to start somewhere. So sometimes with my clients, depending on their situation, I might change the order, because it's what they're not everyone is comfortable to hop into a hypnosis session right away. So sometimes you do the somatic work first. You have to do the releasing first. So that's just something that I work with, and I'm able to identify in the beginning.
I love what you said. I almost stopped you and said, "Oh, say that again." I loved what you said about, you know, I started, or this was the way my body learned to react to the situation. And it became my way of dealing with it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not serving me anymore. And I think that is such a powerful thing for people to remember. And this is one of the reasons that I cringe sometimes when I hear the word mindset, right? Because it's the same thing. We learned a skill in response to a situation we were in. It was the only way we knew how to cope with it at the time, right? And it served us well, because clearly we're still alive, we're still here, we're still involved in this process called living, but it's no longer serving us now. And now we might choose different ways to respond to it, but there's fundamentally nothing wrong with the original position. And I think that's so often what gets lost in this idea of you have to change your mindset. Let's acknowledge that it was beneficial and helpful, and we can make different choices now.
Yeah, 100%.
Get off my soapbox now.
I think, you don't want to be stuck in one gear.
Yes.
You are allowed to sometimes be in fight if you need it. Yes. Sometimes be in flight if you need it. Sometimes be in fun if you need it. Sometimes freeze is the best option. And then, of course, there's also the other side completely, where you are connected, where you are regulated, where you're not stuck in that. So you need to be able to, if you need to be in survival mode, to move through all of the different gears, use all the tools in your toolbox. And also know when you don't need this, when you can just relax, when you can just enjoy, when you can just play now. So, but what happens is we practice something so much, and it becomes autopilot. We practice it so much, and we haven't practiced enough of all using the other tools. So it's building the skill. It's knowing how to shift from one to the other, and when to choose one over the other if you can. And when you are stuck in a specific reactionary behavior, like you said, have compassion for yourself.
Yes.
Which part is showing up here? How old is this part of me that's showing up right now? And maybe when you can, remind it that, oh, well, we've grown up since then. We have other tools now. We can do this, but it's okay. It's okay. And that being said, though, it's still very important to do this work outside of the workplace sometimes.
Yes.
You don't have to sometimes. It's important once you know that, okay, it seems that I am stuck in a certain way. It seems that I get triggered easily. It seems that I shut people out. It seems that I do XYZ. Now well, that doesn't give me an excuse to just bring it all and lay it out the table, with everyone else. Maybe I can work on it on my own time and then be better prepared. But and know when to excuse myself, know when to explain something, know when to take a break. So having all these other techniques as well in the workplace can help. But it's really being understanding of the situation, being compassionate and expecting that there is space for all of us to grow. And I guess part of it is also, where you are and the culture there and what they're doing in order to support people who, have diverse experiences. And if you want someone to be authentic and genuine and expressing themselves fully, then you want to also have the space for that.
Yes.
Mm.
I
So-
want to, I know Annette wants to jump in here, but I want to go back and acknowledge something you said that I think is really powerful. You said that learning to recognize that the feeling that's happening in my body is not just an old feeling, but it is my reaction to an event or a situation or a person, and that this is how I show up. Because oftentimes we ignore those feelings, we ignore those body sensations, and we have no clue why we're doing it, right? And the whole work that you do is in helping us recognize this is how you can tell. When you feel this, this is what's happening in you. And just the act of acknowledging it is bringing awareness to the situation and what's happening here, right? For you, not for everybody else, but for us as an individual. And I want to also acknowledge, and this I'm going to toss it to Annette, the importance of being in a workplace that provides the kind of support and safety that allows us that.
Yes, agreed. I don't know if those workplaces exist fully yet, but I think that we can be in charge of recognizing where we're at and how it may or may not serve us, and to seek out a place that might be better. I don't think there's a perfect place, but might be better. And I agree with Selma. It's looking at your patterns because, right, I talk all the time about people start a new job, right, and they go into this honeymoon period, right? The first 90, 100, even maybe up to 6 months might be really super great. And then it starts going downhill again. Like you were talking about that dip you experienced where you said, I have to do something different. And when I see people stuck in that loop of like, okay, I can get a job, I can start a new job, but very quickly it becomes the same job I had before, then possibly you want to look inward and see what kind of stuff is here for me that I have to deal with because I keep bringing it to work with me every single day.
Yeah. And just like some people will re-enter toxic relationships, they will always be attracted to emotionally unavailable partners.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are always you're only applying and interviewing at the companies that somewhere inside you that that's going to be the environment that's not for you, that you're going to experience the same emotions and feelings that you don't want to necessarily experience because we're attached to that. Maybe we're even addicted to that pattern, to the feelings and how it feels to us in our body. So we do that subconsciously. Sometimes we choose the places, and this is why in the first 3 to 6 months things are different, because that's the only way you'll get in from both sides. But once you're in, oh, now I relax subconsciously. Like, all right, hit me with that adrenaline, hit me with that cortisol that I'm used to, hit me with all of these chemicals in my body that feel so familiar to me that maybe I don't even know how to live without anymore because I haven't done the healing work. The other thing I wanted to say, Annette, sometimes it's not just about the policies at work, it's really about the people. Because you could be in a company and they don't have any of the policies and they don't have the systems, but you can still feel belonging and connection with the people. And but again, and a lot of people will take the the approach of find the right organization, what they can do better, what the policies, how the policies can be, and so on. And what I really like to bring to everyone's attention is it's really coming back to you and how much you have control over the situation, not just in what you choose, but in your beliefs, in your perspective, and your reactions. So I can say that this is my boss, is XYZ. But really, how am I showing up? Because it's the pattern. Once you change how you are and what you believe and how you're presenting yourself, a lot of times these patterns, they just break apart. And then you finally see it's like as if that person I'm working with changed overnight. They're suddenly different because I'm not triggering something in them as well. Or very easily, I am no longer attached to this place and I'm ready to move on because it's not the environment for me. But this being stuck in the wrong environment with this in this suffering situation with people that you're triggering them, they're triggering you, you know at this point that there's something underneath there. There's something that you're subconsciously choosing there. And once you understand it, once you're ready to let it go, it's either they show up differently, you show up differently, they show up differently, or you're no longer attached, you're no longer stuck, and maybe opportunities are coming your way for you to move on.
I love that. I once read a book ages ago when I was much younger and my hair was black instead of gray. I read this wonderful book. You can still get it. Harriet Lerner is the author. She calls it The Dance of Anger. And I love that analogy of the dance. And that's what you just described. You know, we have a dance that we do. And as long as we're in that dance, things are never going to change, right? It's when I choose to dance differently that it requires you to either step away from the dance, right? Or match me in this new dance that we're dancing.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, it made me think a lot of times when we're seeking connection, we only know connection in a certain way. So we might only know connection in conflict. We might only know connection in disagreements or being confrontational. So a lot of the things where you almost want to understand, well, what is it that I really want here? Things are not always what they seem. So in that, and I think it's because of the title, The Dance of Anger. I mean, sometimes it's just, I mistake that for passion. I mistake that for, and I think that's excitement. I am finally getting attention from someone, and I equate this attention to me being significant or me being loved or me being needed. So these are all things that, you know, we don't necessarily talk about in the workplace, but they're always at play. Because you wake up and whatever it is that you're not getting at home, you have unmet needs, you're going to work and you're seeking it somehow there. And so what are those needs? This is why I love the hypnotherapy sessions specifically, because the hypnotherapy sessions is all about the why. It's you have the answer. Now you know, why am I doing this? What are the specific needs that I'm trying to meet? What are the things that I'm trying to avoid? What is it that I want to survive? What am I seeing in my environment that's not there, but I want it to be there? Because if it's there, then I can be I can feel the same way. I can react the same way. And I can now feel this like balance within that might not be actually balance, but it's just what I'm used to, what's familiar. Because whatever is familiar my mind will equate it to safe, even if it's not safe,
even if it's not.
suffering, even if it's pain. But I know it, and I know how it ends. I know how the cycle ends every single time. I've done it so many times. I'm an expert at it now. And I know that I didn't die, you know, I know that nothing happened. So let me repeat that. But regulation, belonging, connection, all these other things, I might not know them. And so I have no idea how I will show up in that way. And I have no idea if I'll be able to maintain it. And I have no idea if it will last. So there's so many fears to that. And what if it's more painful to be successful? What if it's more painful to be seen? What if it's more painful to actually have that group, have that support, and then maybe lose it? So it's all of these things can block us from being our best selves and really thriving and succeeding. But the best thing is, there's a reason. And once you go all the way back, it's right there. You unlock it, you can change it, and then you just do the work, and you will see things changing.
Wow, I can imagine finding that thing and being released from it, and how freeing that must feel, and how you can make a different choice for yourself then when you're not held back by this way old belief that you're not even sure where it came from until you discover it. Yeah, that must be so powerful.
Yeah, and once you know, you can't unknow.
Correct.
You might ignore it and you need a reminder, but you know it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So the change happens just from that expanded awareness. And so the next time you're repeating the same pattern, you're just like, I know what I'm doing. I've done this before. I know why. And so it becomes a choice. It now becomes a conscious choice if you're repeating it. And you cannot blame anyone else for it. You become accountable, and then you're like, all right, well, do I want to change now, or do I want to do this a few more times? Sometimes you want to do it a few more times because it's still meeting those needs, right? But now you actually have a choice. So it's the difference between walking, sleepwalking, and walking with your eyes open.
Yeah.
If you're bumping into the same wall, but you've seen the wall, it might feel good every time you bump into the wall, but and feel familiar, but you can't say that you didn't see it coming.
Yeah. And a real sense of ownership then about what's happening to you. You don't feel so out of control.
I believe, with everything that I do with work, I believe we are in the most control of ourselves. You have so much control over the way that you think, over how you feel, over how you show up. But once you're actually behind that, in that control center, you have all the tools. You can control these things. We have so much power over ourselves. I mean, we might not have power over everything, but we can influence our environment. We can influence other people with how we are showing up. But really, there is no excuse to, once you have the tools and once you know what to do, there is no excuse to then not say, well, I don't like this thought. I'm going to interrupt it. Fine, I'm feeling this feeling, but I don't want to sit feeling it for the whole day. I'm just going to feel it for a couple minutes, and I'm going to do something that I know what to do to shift my feeling and to feel something different now. I've been feeling pain. Why don't I move into a tiny bit of relief from the pain and focus on the relief? And how does that relief feel? Well, now that makes me feel a little bit happier. And moving through, these are tools, these are things that we can do ourselves. But once you know the tools, once you have them, once you know how to use them, then there is no excuse not to. And like I said, it becomes a matter of choice whether or not you use them. We're not children anymore. That's the thing. That's like the reminder. Like every single session when I start with someone, we go into, all right, well, this is what baby you or toddler you believed. These are the strategies. These are this. But now it's 30, 40, 50 years later. You're no longer that child. So now you become the parent for that child, for that old you. You can't be the child forever. You can't say, I'm just the child and this is what I will do at work. No.
Right.
So and then you're able to shift. You're able to sometimes connect with that child, feel what that child is feeling, experience things from that perspective. And then you shift back and you become the parent and you reassure yourself and you soothe and you comfort and you do all that you need to do. And sometimes, you know when to switch things off. That's why I was saying it's being able to use all the different gears that you have. It might not be the right time to connect and to have an inner child healing session. Maybe this is a stage in your life where you just need to go. If that's the case, then you need to be able to use that tool. But then you also need to know when you can stop safely and switch back.
Mhm.
So that's the work that we do. And I think there are so many different modalities. I'm trained in some things. There are things that I'm not trained in. And guys, I believe that they will all work.
Yes.
There are so many tools, so many resources. So it becomes a matter of finding what works for you, stick to it as long as it works. And once it stops working, if you need to do more, find something else. But there's plenty. So we have what it takes to heal. We have what it takes to develop ourselves. I think it's part of our journey. Just like you grow taller, just like you learn to crawl and walk, that you also learn to manage with all of these things and to regain control over your mind, over your feelings, over your energy, over how you influence people. So this is also one of the things that you get to learn and you get to master.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, Salma.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is the most important work we do. Yeah. I think learning to heal those parts of ourselves that are hurting is the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. And
Thank you
I
for your
love, thank you. And I love to also say that I don't necessarily think that healing is the objective.
Right.
Mm.
You want, or this is my perspective, is you want to heal and you want to gain all of these skills for the purpose that's beyond that. For either, if it's to serve in a way or just to experience fully the world that you're living in a way. But it's not just about healing for the sake of healing and it's something that I have to do until the day I die. It's not about that. It's about I want to heal so that then I can serve, so then I can enjoy, so then I can connect, so then I can all reap the fruits of that, so I can be in the workplace and really be 100% in flow and innovate and have this, like, my creative juices going and feel like I'm excited for the thing that I am creating with my team. You're birthing something, you're creating something new, so there is so much that you can be enjoying and that you can be doing. And so it's not only for the healing. Healing is just, let's just get that out of the way, or have it something that we're doing so that we can do and we can experience what it is that we actually deserve to experience, and that we can serve in the way that we feel is meeting our purpose.
That's so beautiful.
Yes.
So well said. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you. Time and time again. So if somebody wants to talk with you about their journey and maybe getting out of this dip and getting to someplace better so they can do better work, so they can serve, so they can truly enjoy their life, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
The best way is through my website, which is breakthroughhypnocoach.com. And right on the website, there's a form that they can complete, like a very short form to book a intro session with me. Now, usually this intro session has a fee, but if they are coming through watching this video, I would like to offer it. It's a 1-hour session. They complete an intake form, a longer form where it's very specific questions that's guiding them through a process just by completing that form, so that when they come to that session, I've already prepared, and it's just about giving them the solution, uncovering the patterns, really getting them to answer those why questions, and putting them on the path to the growth and to the development that they'd like. And if they would like to continue, they can. But just that one session will just switch on those lights for them. It's opening the eyes instead of being, walking with your eyes closed. So I'd like to offer them that.
Oh my gosh, that is so generous. Thank you so much. What a gift.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was very enjoyable for me to be with both you and Annette and Sandra.
Oh, always a treat to chat with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on this episode of Exposing the Hidden Reality. If something hit home or made you snort laugh, tell us.
Seriously, we love hearing from you. Message us, tag us, or send us coffee. We love coffee.
And hey, leave a review. It helps more women find us and boosts our egos.
Which are like fragile, like suspiciously fragile.
True. All right, until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and if all else fails,
Learn the dog.
See you
next time.
Wait, did we stop recording?
No, we're still here. You have to push the red button.
Red button. Cool. Just eternal podcast.
Bye.
Bye.